Before we can start with the parallax component, we're going to need a little bit of text above and below where our parallax is going to be. It's just going to make it a bit easier for us to scroll around the page and view the parallax to its full. So let's add a div here, and then I'll say v-4 is equal to I in 15, which is a quick way of spitting something out 15 times, and we'll set the key equal to I. And then I'll say lorem and press tab so that we get some lorem ipsum, save that, and there we go, we got some text on our page. And now I want to have some text that will be under the parallax. So let's go ahead and basically paste that underneath, save it, and there we go. Now we can go ahead and get started. I'll come in here and say Q-parallax, and then we can add a property, which would be source in this case, to add an image. https:// and let's go to picsum.photos/ and I'll say 800 by 600. This is just a quick way to get a photo with dimensions of 800 by 600. So let's save that and scroll down the page. There we go. We've got our first parallax. You can't see it moving very much, but it is moving a little bit. You can kind of play around with that just to test that it is working. So in order to get more of an effect there, what we might actually do is set the height. If we set it to a smaller height, then that means that it's got some more room to play around with for the parallax effect. So if we scroll down now, notice that it's much easier to see the parallax effect there. Pretty cool. All right, what else can we do? We can also change the speed. So if I say the speed is equal to 1, that's basically going to be the maximum amount of speed we can have for the parallax effect without running out of photo. I'll show you what I mean by that. So if I scroll down here, once we reach this point here, we've basically run out of photo. So in other words, that is the top of the image. However, if I set the speed here to 1.4 and then save it, let's just refresh the page to check that's going to work. Oh, we've got a different image this time. Let's refresh the page again. Scrolling down here. All right, we're still getting all the image, so I might make this number even bigger still. 2, and I'd say that's because we've set the height as well. So basically, since we've gone 800 width and 600 height, then double that should mean that we are just going to run out of half of the image once we get to that halfway point. So what you can do is play around with this number. Maybe we can try 1.5 here. Refresh the page again. And that seems to almost be the sweet spot. We're losing a little bit at the top there. But you get the idea. You can sort of mess around with the height and the speed number to get the exact parallax effect you want, which is really cool. All you have to do is play with these numbers in order to get that perfect parallax. It's usually a real nightmare to get this effect set up properly. So Quasar makes that really, really easy. Oh, I like this one. I almost feel like I'm walking down the pier. Cool. All right, what else can we do? We can also do parallax for videos. So let's come in here and we'll close that off. Just note that there are some caveats with parallax and videos. It's difficult to use with something like YouTube because of auto-playing and replays and all that kind of stuff that you have to sort of do when you have a parallax video, unless it's like a really long video. So there are some things you can do to get that to work, but I'm just going to show you what they use in the docs, which is basically a plain old video tag. So let's say video here, and then we'll come here and say the width is equal to 720. That's important that you set the width and the height on the video, otherwise the parallax won't work properly. So let's go ahead, we can probably remove this. And I also want this to be inside of a template. So let's say template, and this is going to be inside of media. That's what we need to do if we want to be using a video with the parallax. Okay, so moving on, we have a width of 720, and we'll have a height equal to 440, and make sure I've got the A in media there. We'll say autoplay, so that it automatically plays when we open the page. Loop this video, and I also want it to be muted. And just to make the display good, let's set a height here, and I'll make that 150. Now we actually need a video source, and I'm just basically going to swipe the one that they use on the Quasar page. So they use 2 sources here for maximum compatibility, but in this video, I'm only going to use the one, just to keep things simple. We'll say WebM is the type of this video, and the source is going to be https://cdn.quasar.dev/image/polina.webm. Save it, and let's see if I got everything right there. Scrolling down the page, looks like something's not working. Might try refreshing the page. And there we go. We've got a video with the parallax effect. It can be kind of hard to see with videos, but there we go. It is working. And I'll be honest, I've never actually used a parallax video before in production, but it's kind of nice to know that we've got that available to us. Okay, moving on. Another thing you might want to do is actually tap in to the location that the scrolling point is currently at when you're using the parallax. I'll show you what I mean. So we've also got a template here for content. And this is just like using the default slot, except we can now pull out of this the scope. So if I come here and say, for example, Q-card, Q-card-section, and then we throw out there a pre-tag with the scope, just so we can actually see what we're getting out of the content slot. So we'll save that. We're going to need something here. So let's say the source is equal to picsum.photos/800 by 600 again. So we'll save that. Might do a refresh to make sure it's all working and scroll down. And there we go. Notice that we're getting the percent scrolled. So now we can use that information to do some cool things. Like imagine you had, for example, a black background and you had like a scary image that gradually sort of faded in as you scroll down the page. You could do something like that using this information. I'll show you what I mean. Let's have a play here. What if we did an image inside of there, and I'm just going to grab this to get the source for that image. And instead of 800 by 600, I might just make it something like 50 by 50, like a really small image. So let's save that and see if it's working. Might refresh the page. I think it doesn't like that I'm not using the scope here. So let's just whack it out there. All right. There we go. So we're getting that image now. And what you could do is say the style is equal to an object, and then opacity is equal to scope dot, and then that property there, percent scrolled. So scope dot percent scrolled. Let's save that and see if it works. It does. So we'll get rid of this. And now notice that that image is basically invisible, and that could be like a scary image or something. And then when you scroll down the page, it becomes more and more visible. That could be a really cool effect, I think. How cool is that? So we get that extra flexibility using Quasar's parallax. I love that Quasar's always thinking about this stuff. They're always like letting us tap into the component to take a little bit more control, a little bit more ownership over what our component looks like. And once again, it follows that rule of everything is so simple by default. If we want, we can have a parallax that looks like this. Basically just a source image. Scroll up and down the page and it works. But then if you want to tap into more, you have that ability. And if you want to go as deep as creating the entire parallax effect yourself by using that content slot, you can. So I really enjoyed doing this video and I hope you enjoyed it too. See you in the next one where we'll explore another Quasar component.